So good morning everyone, welcome to Satsang. Let's make some silence first. Strengthening silence. Abiding in silence. Returning to silence. It's all that matters. Okay. So, as I said before, in the beginning of silence, returning to silence. What does this mean? For some, silence is, for those who can tap into it, more or less like a bubble where you go into and from where you get out from. It is something which is reachable or to be reached. But silence is in fact absence of noise. And what is this absence of noise? So saying returning to silence also means letting go of noise. So noise is quite simple, is everything that disturbs silence. And it goes deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper. In a sense that attachments, fears, security, the sense of security. Fears are there, so you have to work so that you don't feel this insecurity, anxiety. So all these things are in place. Then you have desires, and this builds up. So all these things are noise. And silence is something that which is seen as something to acquire on top of these other things that are there. This is why it's temporary. Whatever you can tap into, if you can, it will be temporary because it is being built on top of noise. So it's not real silence yet. Whenever you remove these attachments, fear, desires, whenever you remove yourself from this cycle of preservation of own security, of being concerned with own security, then what's left is silence. As long as these things are there, silence is kind of an alien that comes to show you just a different reality. But your work as a seeker of truth has to unfold. Because if it doesn't unfold, then nothing is happening really. And this is a current attitude of seekers these days. Liberation, silence, self-realization, whatever the name that is given, the tendency is something to acquire, to bring to me, to my reality. And it is illusion that needs to be let go. And what this means to let go is these structures that lie tight with the sense of individuality, with the sense of this person concept. And it doesn't matter if it is by enormous amounts of noise or small amounts of noise. It is noise, it is there. It is deep, it is real to you. And as you conform with these structures, I have the fear of not feeling safe, of not being able to provide for myself. Nobody provides for themselves. Not really. But as long as these things are there and you are feeding these structures so that you don't feel these discomforts, the anxiety, the fear, then you think, now I have peace. If I'm not experiencing this, I have peace, so I can build more silence. It is a mistake. You will not be building any silence. And there will be times that the silence that you are tapping into, or the fruits of your meditation, for example, they will take you to the direction of you dealing directly with these fears, dependencies, about security, questioning your sources of security, trying to take them out, and then you'll have to choose. So that silence that you are tapping into, or the fruits of your meditation, is still artificial silence, in a sense, because it's not silence yet. And it is helping you to remove yourself from these structures, and then, yes, establishing yourself into real silence. So this mindset, I'm doing these activities or wandering, and then I return to silence. This is not silence yet. You need to let go of noise, to question these deep beliefs, like, if I don't do this, then I will not survive, or something like that. You have to question these beliefs deeply, not intellectually, because this intellectual movement does nothing. You have to live these things, really. And it is quite different, one thing from the other. Returning to silence means abandoning noise. And if you're abandoning noise, and I've explained already what noise means here, and then reclaiming it back again. So you abandon noise, went to silence, tapped into silence, stay there, and eventually you get out from there and you reclaim noise again. So that silence, as you are holding on to your noise, it is something which eventually becomes a part of illusion, of a new state of vision of yourself and of the world. It doesn't matter if the scenario is more spiritual or less spiritual, not fundamentally. Everything helps, but whatever you get accustomed to becomes a part assimilated and a part of identity, pseudo-identity, becomes a part of the character. So you have missed, because all these spiritual practices, teachings, it is to take you to the breaking point. While as you are able to see and to rip off these knots of the net of beliefs that make you continue being bound. And if we look at the mindset of seekers, It is naive. It lacks a lot of things, especially because there's an absence of meditation. Those who practice intense meditation, they have a little bit more chances. But without it, it becomes immaterial. But this mindset of maintaining peace, establishing peace now, and building more silence, love, and all these things on top of it. For real peace, there has to be war. And that means, if you don't want to waste time, going directly to your structures of safety, dependencies, weaknesses, and that is intense. That is sometimes unbearable or apparently unbearable. But if you have faith, if you believe, and this can be seen, that you are in a living process, then you will have to trust that if, no matter how intense it presents itself, if it is presenting itself, then it is possible. And with this belief, you continue, you persist, you go beyond, you go through it, through that hell which is presenting. And if you do this, then you will see that really it was possible. And the more you lose that timing, that moment of going through the fears, intense fears, questioning your safety and all of this. This is why tests come, changes come, guidance come and tells you, no, now drop all of that and go there. Sometimes it's not about where you're going, but what you're leaving behind. But again, the mindset is, okay, so I have to do this big change, for example. So what will be the attitude? I'm full of fear now. So I will wait. I will work with my mind on it. I will prepare myself, prepare circumstances, and I will wait and read and see what helps is there, everything, so that I lose the fear or it reduces exponentially. And when I feel I'm ready, that means I'm not that fearful, then I make the change. Well, that is very nice, but what was the purpose of the change? If you have left the most important part, which was that moment of ripping through beliefs, with this attitude, you have adapted your world to the new circumstance. So the benefit is almost nothing. You have made a change in circumstance, you have adapted your world, your reality to that new circumstance, more or less, and you have lost the meaning, the purpose of it. Then another one has to come. And you see, everybody knows the actual value of beliefs. In any sense, any of you has already seen someone believing that something is impossible to do or whatever, that you know in your own experience that that's not the case. And this is the reality of all beliefs. Nothing is impossible. So it is your belief which is limiting. Those fears, dependencies, they remain, and you invest in them and you keep wasting your time with them just because you believe they are right. They are not even yours. Someone is writing here something in Italian. My friend Italian, if you can make that better a little bit in English, I will appreciate it. Italian, I think. So silence, absence of noise, absence of agitations. It has to be solid, so solid that nothing can disturb you. So controlling circumstances, controlling environment is a step towards, but not silence. It is useful, but never useful if it is intended to abstract you from your fragilities. You see, there's this idea also, especially in these new age kind of mindset, that whatever is there which is painful, you shouldn't be allowed to live it. There should be compassion. But what is real compassion? Is that which allows you to continue blind to your own nature. Is that compassion? Or is it that gives you a chance to rise up from the level of ignorance that you are into the bliss that you really are? Which one is compassion? Well, nobody is in pain. Pain comes from your beliefs. So if you have a chance, the awareness, to go through that pain, knowing that it is your ignorance that is causing that, and be able to see, going through that veil, and be able to reach the other side and see that it has no substance, isn't this worthwhile? Which one is compassion? Because suffering, for those who don't know, is in fact a blessing. Sometimes is the last blessing of all. That means the only blessing that you can really receive, because you're so blind, so close to everything, so attached to your delusion, that only suffering can make you question that deeply. And suffering, more or less, doesn't fail, because it will build up and build up and build up and build up until you cannot stand it anymore. O fear suffering, those who run away from it, they are actually embracing more suffering. They are actually searching for more suffering. It is last blessing. And without that real silence, what you're calling love isn't love. There's no room for real love. There's no room for real bliss. And you can build yourself like this. And as long as you don't go through that process, same old, same old. You may become saintly, a very, very good person, but that's not the same as enlightened. It may help, because the better you become, the less self-centered you are. But that doesn't mean nothing yet. I will answer your question now. So if an impulse persists in a virtually silent mind for a long period, like a month or so, repeating itself, giving headaches, you know, really persisting. With my experience now, I don't even think we need to wait this long. Is it always divine? Not really. It can be, but it doesn't also needs to be. You see, as you move this line which I was talking about, of adapting and adapting and adapting, as long as you have not broken these basic beliefs about dependency and all these things I've talked about previously, then it is in adapting mode. And this adapting mode adapts to anything. So for some, for example, the impulse comes and they go with it immediately. But let's see, for example, just an example, that you have come to the vision that you have to wait, because if it is a real impulse, it will last, will be there. This is a very mature way of seeing it. But if adapting is there, that impulse will remain and will wait, because in a way you want it to be real. It doesn't matter if you're aware of it or not. And if you want it to be real, but you are using as a reference time to see if it continues, then it will remain that time, so that it closes the cycle and it fits your delusion. Usually, especially for beginners, that is very good. Learn how to wait, because usually things come very fast and they come intensely. It seems that they are very important, but if you wait, it disappears. So that waiting is good, but it can adapt itself. I'm not saying that this is the case, just explaining these variables. I leave the rest to you. Apart from that, there are what is called in yoga philosophy sanskars. We can call them seeds of action, seeds of that which asserts and guarantees future. There are more superficial ones, more weaker, and there are those at the root. They are biding. They are bidden. I don't know if this word really works in English. Okay. They are tied closely to these beliefs, these deeper beliefs. They are the impulse, the irresistible impulse to act. They will force you into action. And as you are in this level of intensity and difficulty, and you want to do the right thing, your mind will start interpret what is happening and trying to find the best way out of it. And eventually, because of pain and suffering, if this is involved, it will reinterpret that in a way that everything comes to peace, false peace, untouched, this safety net untouched. So if this unlock is there, and it can be, of course, it can be something which is important to do. This is what you're calling it divine. But at this level of stage that there is this capacity to hold, this tenacity, to wait, this patience, this maturity, if things were at the right place, there should be guidance. And this is the big distinction of all. Guidance. When the process is mature, when you're at a good speed and dealing with these with the ropes of delusion, it is guidance that makes the difference. Clear-cut guidance. Not something that you have to, is this from this or from that? No, it is clear-cut. It doesn't matter if apparently it has a form of a master, or if it is formless from within. Source is the same, but it is always clear-cut. Not just signs. If there are signs that you have to interpret, that means you're not mature yet. It is what fits in your world. The level of surrender has not reached the level which is needed. And that means attachments, noise, fears, everything is there underneath. So what comes is a hint. It is that which fits there. And this is very important, because in all the time, you see, the big part of the quest is to find guidance. If you're trusting your own mind, using it as a decision making, analyzing and assessing with your skills, with your set of skills, with your maturity, with everything, it can be good or bad, but it's not the thing yet. So a big part is to find guidance, that which will guide you from your own illusion, because it is always adapting. Making yourself ready, fit to receive guidance. And then it is guidance that guides. And as you prepare yourself for guidance, you strengthen yourself, you purify yourself, and you will need that strength. Because following guidance is very, very difficult. And many seekers, they come in contact with a master, for example. It can be their master. And they are not at the level of purity and strength that they should. They are having a chance into that contact. But it can be their own master, but they will not know it. They may know it intellectually, but that doesn't mean that they will be able to rise up to the level that that relationship intends to. They will have time to work it, and they will face many challenges so that they make the right decisions, and that will mean to let go of that which is in the way. And whatever beliefs are there towards that master, they will have to improve a lot. Because you can go through this. If you continue the same, not surrendering, continuing to use your discernment and everything to interpret, is this right or is this wrong, then this means that you are still the master. And instead of getting closer and closer, so that guidance can be even more clear, because an embodied master will not give you the clear-cut guidance unless you are prepared for it, whatever that means, because no one's really that prepared. But if the bases are there, the more the more surrendered you are, the more you can show that you really want it, the more you go through the challenges that are put in front of you, the more it can be given. Inner guidance, there's no conversation. It is clear-cut instruction, and this is for the very few, because there's no conversation. If you don't follow it, it disappears. And it comes, it tells you something, there is the presence, it is there, and then it vanishes. So when your doubts come, there's not the support that you imagine that there should be. But this is, well, so a big part of the quest is to become fit for guidance and to finding guidance. And this is the biggest blessing in the spiritual path. And just because you found a master that you believe it is your master, it doesn't mean that you're really ready. Because if you have found it, it will be very difficult. Whatever impurities you're carrying, you will make them rise to see which one you embrace. The more you let go of these things, the more surrender there will be, the more closeness with your master, with guidance, the more clear-cut the instruction can come. Everything intensifies. And then there's no room for interpretation. And it gives a lot of work to reach that level. There is a reason why there was a sentence from a master which became famous, which is, don't throw pearls to pigs, because pigs will not give pearls the same value, and they will just mix them up in their own poop. And those white, pristine pearls will become just full of poop everywhere. And this is clear-cut instruction, the pearl, clear-cut instruction. If you're not prepared for it, if you have not worked your negativities, you will twist and fill that with your own negativities and all of that. It becomes... So if you're not ready, the master has to protect you from your ignorance to a certain extent. Not all of it. And you will have your chances to let go of your negativities or to embrace them. But it is guidance that makes the difference at all levels. So if you're getting hints that you have to interpret and all of that, that surrender, that level of devotion is not there. If it's just silence, what is that? In a sense that the majority of seekers recognize as silence. The quest for truth is a divine romance. Don't forget that. And another aspect is this, going back again to these deep-seated sanskars. Yeah, mental impressions that will enforce action, that guarantees the future. Future is guaranteed. Breaking out of it, that is the difficult part. This is why it is very important, the meditation practice, intense meditation practice, because this burns and continues to burn these sanskars that are not in action yet. So these impressions, the word was not impressions, these impulses, they may come from different levels and for different reasons. This is where guidance is a must. And you have to question things very deeply all the time at that level of practice, of maturity. Because if there's maturity there, for sure, you're not going to trust what is coming here. And whatever is coming, whatever seems right, you have to look at again and again and again and again and again. Because 10% of you wants to do the right thing, 90% wants to preserve your illusion, whatever it is. What was there previously may have changed, and if it changes, you will adapt, and then you want to preserve that one. It evolves. Okay. My friend, wait just a little bit more. I will answer your questions in the next satsang, Saturday, because these questions, this subject is something that, well, we will probably use all satsang for it, okay? So, till Saturday. So next satsang will be Saturday, 9 o'clock, UTC -3, Brazilian time. Well, that's it for today. So till Saturday, make the best use of your time. Much.